And the New York Times would write about that.
Oh yeah, the chorus was those old vocals. So we had that, you can see it's a whole finished demo. We ended up scrapping that, but we liked the track. So I think that's something we've gotten good at. It was probably over the course of a year and a half, 3 or 4 different songs, combining them into something that felt kind of fresh and natural. Good question though. So I'll take more questions throughout, but we thought, let's combine this old vocal with kind of a hip hop feel. Something we like to do is kind of have a common theme motif throughout the song. So you'll hear this bass line.
Funny how I paid for college when you do.
And then at a certain point, the bass stops playing that and the marimba starts playing it. And that's something we learned from like early 2000s hip hop. Like Eminem did this a lot, where he had, his vocal went and then he starts rapping, and underneath him, like flutes go. So it kind of gets stuck in your head throughout. It's a nice way to kind of tie your song into a big cohesive thing.
And reading comments, and when the hell did advertisements get so good? They're like narcotics.
I think the drums are also something that we worked hard on in this song. I think you can kind of tell that it took us a year and a half to make this song, because the drums are constantly swapping out. There's definitely like a ADHD kind of feel of like, we like this snare. Like for a while it's this. Where is it? There's that wood block. I can't find it now. But you hear that there's that like wood block, and then at a certain point it switches to like a clap.
Feel like everyone I know right now.
It's still the wood block.
Never see it.
Now it switches to a clap. That's a very like Macklemore, Ryan Lewis kind of thing of like, let's just. I guess with hip hop, the rapping starts to get a little monotonous, so you want to switch up the drums and keep it as this like living organism. So we wanted to do that with the drums. And then when the trumpets hit, we wanted to kind of recreate what I was talking about in those harmonies of the "come on guys," the 6th and 7th, all these weird jazzy chords. We wanted to recreate it with the trumpets, and so I'll play that.
Narcotic excuse, or if they hate.
Where is it?
I just spent my best years skipping and finishing college.
So we basically recorded the trumpets in those same chord structures and made it sound old-fashioned. And then we got flutes on top of that, which are these guys. When you combine those two, now it sounds like a pretty old-fashioned orchestra, right?
Funny how I keep debating.
I can talk about Jack's vocal. Any questions about anything so far? Yeah. Yeah.
A little bit about like the lyrics.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Talk a little bit about like the lyrics to this song.
Yeah, can I talk about the lyrics? We definitely were trying to get across the feeling of being awake at 3 a.m. I think we wrote Way Less Sad before this, where we had I can't fall asleep and I'm losing my mind, it's 3:30, and we liked that kind of psychedelic feeling. And so we said, let's explode that feeling into an entire song. And we wanted to capture the feeling of not knowing what is real when you're thinking it, right? Like you have these thoughts, everybody hates me, or everybody's partying right now. I will probably feel better in the morning. And that kind of volatile, like unsure, unstable feeling, we thought, let's try to capture that in the song. And so the lyrics definitely were king in the song. It was how do we tell a story about YouTube ads and college and try to connect it back as if it makes sense, and then a trumpet break out of nowhere. We wanted it to feel kind of like controlled chaos, where it's a little bit random, but then it comes back, and then at the end you'll hear everything in the kitchen sink comes back in, and we have horns and marimbas and craziness, and then it's political for no reason. We wanted to get that kind of feeling across of random thoughts popping in your head. Yeah. Yeah. In my retirement, continuing.
Ever think about teaching this at
Oh, good question. Would I ever think about like teaching this in a college or whatever? I think I'm really good at explaining what I do. I'm not sure that it's that beneficial. I mean, I guess you guys paid to be here, so, but I mean, obviously it's beneficial if you want to get inspired. But I think what I'm teaching is the way I was self-taught. It's not really like the rule book, because I started on GarageBand when I was like 13, and that was probably the most excited I've ever been to produce. There was such a creative openness of I would come home every day after school excited to make like an African song or a Beach Boys song or a Broadway song. That's like the most creatively inspired I think I've ever been. And then there was a certain moment of discovering like, oh, if I combine all of these things that I'm emulating, it turns into something that sounds like I'm Ready, where there's like dubstep and doo-wop and tempo changes and SpongeBob, and that was like the first moment of, oh, now I'm doing something that only I could do, that I can't imagine whoever was big at the time, Kesha, could do, or you know, Flo Rida could do. Like, this sounds like only AJR. And so I think that's probably a lot of where my lessons are rooted in just whatever my journey was. But I think probably the best advice I could give is to do just that. Figure out what no one else is saying, whether it's in lyrics, whether it's in production, or combining two genres. Like, figure out what only you can say. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah? Yeah, no. Yeah. Oh, sure. You're next. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
So you're asking about the 3 o'clock things video. Is Ezra here? He is here. There's our star of the 3 o'clock things video. Take a big bow, Ezra, in silence. Perfect. You know what? I don't have a good reason. We thought it was just like a random weird thing to do. I think probably if you analyze the lyrics, it's like about identity and not knowing who you are and not knowing what's the real you. So I guess in retrospect, it kind of makes sense. We cast this random guy that nobody knows as Jack. But yeah, he's our lighting designer. We just kind of picked him. He could do a good impression of Jack, so we just went with him. Good question, though. Yeah. Yeah, we definitely use trumpets a lot. A favorite instrument. I think we're obsessed with finding new instruments. I think that's what really fuels us. I think like 3 o'clock things, we did that flute, boom, 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 boom. That was really exciting because we had never done flute before. I think probably what excites us most now is finding sound effects. Like in Next Up Forever, I was looking for, here I can just play it. Yeah, so with that snare, I was looking for a trombone to go, and I stumbled upon an elephant literally doing whatever that is. What does an elephant do? An elephant berets? Bray? Oh wow. And so I put it with the snare. And it just was so much cooler than a trombone, because who has used that before? So I think that really creatively excites us to figure out musical ways to use non-musical things. Yeah. Oh, good question. When do I allow myself to consider a song finished? I think when it comes out. Yeah, not a joke answer at all. I think we're tinkering until it gets mixed and mastered. And then a certain thing flips in our brains where as soon as it's done and we say it's like a mastered song or it's out or whatever, we don't really regret anything about the song. I think that would be kind of torturous to listen back and find mistakes that we made or things we should have done instead. I think even like, if you listen to some of Kanye West's stuff on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, there are obvious mistakes in there. There's weird snares that are way too loud and pops and stuff, but my brain goes to, it's Kanye West, I'm sure he had a reason for that mistake. It was genius, you know? And so, in a weird way, I try to use that mentality with ourselves. Like, any mistake maybe that I find, that was meant to be in there. That's part of the AJR sound. Yeah. Yeah, with the mask. Any favorite musical that we've used in a song? That, like, we've sampled? No, not that we've sampled. We definitely get inspired, like, Les Mis, the Broadway show. We definitely get inspired by, like, in 100 Bad Days, there's, like, 100 Bad Days made 100 that descending bass line is, and it just like keeps going down, right? That we found that to be like the most emotional chord progression, that it's just like descending. So I think we're definitely inspired by the like over theatricality of Broadway and the like unabashed emotional corniness of it, you know. But then we try to put it in an AJR context. Yeah, in the back. So you're asking about I'm Ready with SpongeBob. I think that was the first time we ever sampled anything, and that came from a thought that someone else should sample it. It came from like, oh, Avicii or David Guetta, like one of the big EDM DJs, should sample this before the drop. And we were definitely at a point where we had nothing to lose because we didn't really have fans at that point, so we thought, oh, why don't we try doing it? You know, like we don't have a sound yet. I'm still trying to emulate things. So that definitely came from just we had nothing to lose. And then clearing the sample, often those people will try to take a lot of money, just because like I'm Ready is nothing without SpongeBob. We're not going to put it out. So we thought Nickelodeon was going to take a lot of money. They ended up only taking like 1 or 2 percentage points, because I think they thought the song wasn't going to do anything. So they were just like, oh, get out of our hair. So we got kind of lucky with that one. Yeah, a lot of questions. Yeah, in the hat.
How do you choose what instruments you record live are digital and live?
How do I choose what instruments I record live versus digital? I think just because I've been doing it for a while, for 13 or 14 years, I have a feel for what's going to sound good live versus in the box, which is in the computer. I found that violins, cellos, trumpets, all that stuff sounds better live. The technology is not quite caught up to be able to get the expressiveness of a cello in the box, but I think stuff like timpanis, bass, a lot of percussion stuff, you can pretty much create perfectly in the computer. So I think it's just a matter of habit, just knowing where to look for what. Yeah, in the glasses.
So what would you say is like the weirdest thing you've ever sampled?
The weirdest thing I've ever sampled. I got, I don't know if they did it here, like around the pandemic, at 7 p.m. everyone was like cheering for the frontline workers and the doctors. At a certain point I sampled that, like New York City cheering. I think it was at the end of World's Smallest Violin, just because I needed more noise. And that's when we were writing that song around that time. So, not that you would necessarily hear, that's definitely New York cheering at 7 p.m., but it just kind of captured the vibe for us and imprinted it on that date for us. Yeah.
Kind of going up with that, where's the most bizarre place you found inspiration? Like, you weren't expecting it to inspire you to do something.
The most bizarre place we found inspiration. Well, it wouldn't have been on OK Orchestra because we were like stuck inside. So that was just Dear Winter, probably. That was we were at college, and I asked a girl to hang out. This was, I guess, like 3 or 4 years ago. I asked a girl to hang out, and she said no. And I went back to the dorm room and just wrote that. And it wasn't really, I didn't write it about the girl, but I just wrote about like, ugh, dating is just terrible right now. It's like so difficult, but like, you're trying to be a little optimistic, but maybe a little bit short-sighted and dumb. So that definitely came out of like, this is how I'm feeling right now, I have to write this right now.
It's funny, it's that
Winter's your last name? What's your first name?
my first name's Colin, but my last name's Paul Winter. It's hyphenated.
Oh. That's pretty cool. It is your song. Amazing. Yeah.
You mentioned you got started making music with GarageBand. What kind of tools are you using now?
I missed the end of the question. We started making music on GarageBand.
What kind of tools are you still using GarageBand? If not, what tools are you using now?
Oh, what do we use now? This is Pro Tools. The industry standards are like Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton. They're all pretty much caught up to each other, and I don't recommend one over the other. It's just like what I got used to. Here, let me keep going then. I'll ask questions. So, with Jack's vocal, I think
It's kind of funny how I keep debating if someone's shy or if they hate me.
I think our goal with Jack's vocal is always to have him right up on the mic, like talking right into your ear. And so we want to use effects that kind of complement that. So we have here EQ.
It's kind of funny how I keep debating.
And this is basically the frequency spectrum. So on the right side, like I said, are all the high-end stuff. The left side is the low stuff. And in modern music, you want to really accentuate the crispy, high-end stuff. This is compression.
It's kind of funny how I keep debating.
And compression kind of deals with the volume range. So naturally when Jack sings, he's gonna go, it's kind of funny how I keep debating. I'm exaggerating, but he's gonna like go in and out and he's gonna get louder and softer. Compression squashes all of that. So he's right up on the mic talking to you. And that's definitely a trend that's more recent. I've noticed, like even like Michael Jackson, Usher, that was very, it really played with loud and soft. And now the trend is just squash it. Ariana Grande is singing Just to Me through my radio. That's a very like modern sound. And then I put reverb on his voice, and reverb is like what you're hearing in this amphitheater right now, like the tail after I finish speaking. That long echo. So we like to create synthetic reverb to create a room around the singer, so you can imagine him as like part of the track and not just isolated in a vocal booth. Then there's a de-esser, which takes all of the like the annoying S sounds, and it ducks those down so they don't like, get annoying in your ear.
It's kind of funny how I keep debating if someone's shy or if they hate me. I feel like everyone I know right now.
I think the last thing I can point out are gang vocals. We like to record a lot of people that aren't singers and just kind of throw them into the gang because we think it creates almost like a college dorm. Everybody's drunk and singing together kind of vibe, and that's really fun for us. So I have this is our lighting design. Is he still here? Oh, he left. All right, this. Oh, he's okay. Oh, you're gonna love this, Ezra. You sound so good in this.
Would you go running if you saw the real me?
So you can hear how terrible it sounds. But those vocal imperfections are actually really cool. They add up to something good. We got my guitar tech, Dane. Yeah, he does it like more emo.
Would you go if you saw the real me?
So all of those, obviously, there are little off notes in there, but it adds up to everybody's singing And then, I think, let me point out the last thing. In the bridge, we had this. Yeah, this, so if you're fucking racist, don't come to my show line. Originally, we just had silence here, so it was this. Long silence. And while we were making it in the studio, we were really excited about that. We were like, we're gonna do something so revolutionary. There'll be just 3 seconds of silence for no reason there. And then we played it for people, and they all thought the song was over there. So they're like, okay, cool. And so we thought, okay, that's an example of where it sounded good in our head, but then watching real-time reaction, we added this thing, which was Jack. I think he just tried a couple sentences, and then from across the room, he said, this guy.
No, we have to do one more.
And we wanted it to feel like he's far away, he's across the room, and then everybody joins in like we're in this big party room together. Yeah.
I noticed that Jack screams in a lot of the songs. Is that bad?
I think he screams in this one too, or maybe I do. Wait, I remember seeing the Scream Ryan was the name of one of the tracks. Wait, hold on. There, literally, I landed on it. Wait, does anybody see Scream Ryan somewhere? Did I miss it? No, not yelling it. I think it's literally called Scream Ryan. Oh, here, Scream Ryan. Ready? Make it nice and loud, Noah. So that was me literally screaming from across the room. And it kind of sets up the drop as this like over-distorted thing. I forget what your question even was.
Why are those in there?
Oh, what?
Honestly, I don't care. They're my favorite part of any song that they're in.
I think it just helps poke out of the mix. Like, as humans, we recognize the human voice so easily. So hearing screaming, there's like nothing more exasperated sounding than that. Yeah, good question. Yeah, in the hat.
What causes the progression of each of your albums? Because I know you've mentioned before, like how one certain song off of like Living Room, I think it was Pitchfork Kids, it helped define The Click, Come Hang Out, helped define Neo Theater, so on and so forth. So what kind of influences that?
Yeah, so what influences the progression of each album? Because yeah, we've said before that Pitchfork Kids was probably our favorite song off of Living Room and led to The Click. Wait, what was the one on The Click? Come Hang Out on The Click, Karma on Neo Theater. and now we're at OK Orchestra, and there's definitely one song per album where we say, oh, let's experiment a little more in that field. I think what causes that? Was that what your question was? I don't know. I think we just want to constantly be challenged. So when we come across something like Karma, which felt like the most adventure of a song we had ever made, it's not really verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, which is like the typical structure of a song. There's like a random bridge and ting, 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 feels like a totally different song. I think that felt really exciting to us, and we wanted to chase that feeling. Yeah, in the back.
What do you think was your favorite album to work on?
Someone has to repeat it, sorry, it's too
Favorite
quiet.
album to work on? What's your favorite album to work on?
What's my favorite album that I've worked on? I probably have the best memories of making Neo Theater. Because the Disney choir was something that was like on a bucket list of mine of how do I create something that really sounds like it was from the 50s and has that kind of nostalgia. So that felt like a real, I can check that off as a producer kind of moment. I can take 2 more questions. You haven't asked the question yet, right? Okay, go ahead. Right. Wow, we should have done that. So he asked Neo Theater, I guess, yeah, does translate to new stage. And does that mean it was a new stage in our life? That's exactly what I think. No, we thought a lot about it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so she's talking about the instrumorphing thing in, Bummerland's a good example. I'll just play a fan came up with the term instrumorphing, which we thought was genius. Yes, it starts with a vocal. And now we're in trumpet world. And now it's a mandolin. And now it's a violin. Yeah. That was something that was kind of OK Orchestra's version of the Disney choir on Neo Theater, where that was like a bucket list thing of how can we transition from one instrument to another, almost like a magic trick. Because all these instruments are made of the same thing. They're made of sine waves or square waves or sawtooth waves. And we thought, how can we fool everybody into not knowing where the piano ended and the trumpet began? And the way we did that, it was just a series of effects automated at different times. Some of the effects I talked about, some that I didn't talk about, but the best trick for that was to play for people that weren't musicians. It's kind of like doing a magic trick for a non-magician. Like, of course, you don't want a magician that's trying to find where you're keeping the secret. So we played it for our dad and my girlfriend and friends, and if they stopped being able to tell where the piano ended, then we knew we had pulled off the trick. Yeah. All right, thank you guys. I hope this was fun. See you out here.